Hey bakers! Today we're going to make some Raisin Pecan Oatmeal cookies. These are from Ina Garden, Barefoot Contessa. So first thing we do is we preheat the oven to 350, which I'm doing now. And then I'm going to throw 1.5 cups of pecan pieces into the oven to get those toasted. All right, here we go. Toasted nuts. 5 minutes in a 350-degree oven. So at this point, you can turn your oven off or leave it on if you're going to bake up a batch and not just pre-make the dough. I would definitely recommend making a batch. Wookie, what's up, dude? Come here. This is my dog, and he's going to help me bake today. Once you calm down, all right? All right, hands washed. And let's get back to cookie making. So we got our toasted pecans. Now in the bowl of your stand mixer, and I do recommend for best results, if you've got a stand mixer, you use it, or definitely an electric mixer. You want to put in 2 sticks, which is the equivalent of 8 ounces of unsalted butter. So what I've got here is the equivalent of 2 sticks, but about 1/3 of it that's going in is going to be cannabised. And you definitely want this to be room temperature, all of it. Here's my cannabis butter. And we're gonna add to that 1 cup of granulated sugar and 1 cup of packed brown sugar. All right, so I got the last little bit of butter there off of the wrapper and then also off the plastic that I had my can of butter on. So definitely want all that to get in there. And then go ahead and turn your mixer on about medium high once you see that the sugar is incorporated pretty well into the butter. And we'll let that go until it's light and fluffy. It takes about 1.5 minutes to 2 minutes. All right, it's been about 1.5 minutes. You can see it's nice and fluffy. You definitely want to give your bowl a nice scrape. And now with the mixer on low, you're gonna add in your eggs. Now the recipe calls for 2 extra large eggs at room temperature, but I have these kind of medium, largish looking eggs, so I'm going to use 3 and assume that that's pretty close to 2 extra large. So one at a time with the mixer running on low. Let's go ahead and add those in. I bumped it up a little just to make sure we got a nice mix of the eggs. And then we want to add into this 2 teaspoons of vanilla extract. All right, that looks really nice. See that? Looking really good. And now we're going to sift into this 1.5 cups of all-purpose flour. Get it in there as best you can. And then this contains 1 teaspoon of baking powder, 1 teaspoon of ground cinnamon, and 1 teaspoon of kosher salt. So you can just add that to the top. Okay, we almost got it all in there. Your kosher salt, if you did it the way I did it, won't fit through your sifter, so you can just dump that back in at the end. And we want to slowly add this in just until it's mixed. All right, now they're pretty much in there, so I'm going to bump it up to medium or medium low. And that looks good, so maybe 30 seconds max. And now we're going to add to this 3 cups of oats. And then if you would like them, You can add raisins. Get 1.5 cups out approximately. Doesn't have to be exact, but that's pretty close right there. We're gonna dump those in. And then you want to add those toasted pecans. I toasted them on this parchment to make it easier just to transfer them into the mixing bowl. And then you can save that parchment for your first batch of cookies. If you don't have parchment paper, it's fine. It just makes it a little bit easier and definitely makes cleanup easier. All right, back on very low speed because you don't want the ingredients flying out. There we go. You got it going where it's pretty much all incorporated. And then you can go ahead and stop your mixer. It's a very quick process. Scrape down your paddle and then just use a spatula or a spoon to give it one last thorough mix. All right, so the dough is pretty sticky at this point. What I like to do with it is transfer it into the refrigerator for at least 30 minutes up to an hour. So our dough was in the fridge for about 30 minutes. And one reason I figured out that it needed to harden up a little bit is my softened room temperature butter had been out for about 8 hours. So that's a lot longer than normally you would need to leave it out. And it got pretty soft. So I would say just leave your butter out for maybe an hour and a half, and you'll be good. And you probably wouldn't even need to refrigerate. So we're gonna see how much one scoop comes out to. And this is about 26 grams. I am for about 35 on these cookies. That's 36 grams, that's pretty good. Just roll it into a ball with your clean hands and put it onto the baking sheet. Now you've got two options here. You can either bake off a few now, which I'm gonna do, or you can form them all into roughly equal sized weighted balls of dough. And then transfer these into the refrigerator if you're gonna bake them within the next week to 10 days, or you can go ahead and freeze them and then you can pull them out, thaw them, and bake them anytime you want. But right now I'm gonna go ahead and just bake off one sheet pan and then I'll freeze the rest of them. So you will get a slight variation even though these are all weighed out to 36 grams because of the addition of the pecans and the raisins, but they should all be roughly the same potency when you're all done. When you're ready to bake with these is with a damp hand. So just run it under the water. You want to give them a little press down. All right, so I'll get another 4 rows on here for a total of 15 cookies, bake them off, and then we'll check out the final product. It's 24 hours later, approximately, and I put the dough balls in the refrigerator overnight. Took a couple of them out this morning, baked them for about 13, 14 minutes in my 350 degree oven. It came out really nice. You can see that nice browned bottom there, and yummy. So based on the amount of can butter I used when I made these cookies, I think that they're about 5 to 6 milligrams a piece. So I already ate one. After this one, I'll have about 10 to 12 milligrams in me. And I'm gonna go on a hike, work off these cookies. But one nice thing about making your own edibles, especially if they are edibles that are cookies or brownies, is you can refrigerate the dough you're going to use within a week. Just put it in a container like this, or it can go in a bag. So I'll probably eat about 8 of these over the next week. Well, yeah, that sounds good. And then the rest of them, and I've already put a full bag of these into the freezer this morning, but this made a total of 45 dough balls at about 35 to 36 grams a piece. And that's how I was able to calculate back to each one being about 5 to 6 milligrams of THC. So I'm gonna seal these up really good and put them into my freezer flat so that they freeze up nicely. And then whenever I want a fresh cookie, I can either take one from my refrigerator stash, or these dough balls that are frozen will keep for about 6 months, and then I can just take them out 8 to 24 hours before I want to bake them for about 12 to 15 minutes at 350 degrees. So there you go, Ida Garden's delicious infused oatmeal raisin pecan cookies. Enjoy and keep baking.